All right, we are live, and I see that there's a delay of about 20 seconds, almost the entire intro. How is everybody doing?
Great.
There's my window. I lost my window for a second.
Lost this window.
The lighting is better. Not perfect. It's a little shiny on that side. Okay.
I love how you care more about your lighting than I do.
Oh,
I've been streaming out of a pre-bathroom room which had no natural light except for those like halogen lights or the ones that look like mushrooms, and it made me look red like a tomato. So everybody can see.
Oh, so you had like the Amber Heard going lights from like the one picture to the other.
It was yeah, that was it. It was after filter.
Got it.
Oh, God. All right. Well, everybody knows. Obviously, we have the illustrious Viva Frei with us, and going clockwise, mine will say Nate the lawyer, and yes, I know, David. I want to say fair and balanced. First time caller. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I was saying, long time listener, first time coming on the stream. Love it. Thanks for having me.
Love it, love it, love it. A couple more people should be showing up. Who knows? Anybody who knows how this stream works knows that people can pop in, they can pop out. It gets completely crazy. David usually says something embarrassing to everybody, and then we have a proper Friday.
If we're going to learn new words today, there will be some embarrassment. But what was it was coprophagia was the last word that I learned.
Right, that was on America's Untold Stories.
Yep.
And again, I need to pull that. They're always fun because we give David a new word. He pulls out his phone, he looks, and there's a reaction, and it is quite hilarious. But today is my birthday. So what better way to celebrate my birthday than to have a legal panel here in America's Untold Stories at 5:30. So I'm going to be...
Happy birthday, Eric. And may I ask the impolite question, although I think I know the answer. How old are you?
10 years older than you.
I'm 43, everybody.
Oh, no, 9 years older than you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And for the shameless plug, instead of wishing me a happy birthday wish, I'm not going to ask you to donate to a charity. Go ahead and sub to the channel, throw a like, and tell a friend. That would be a wonderful birthday gift. All right, so I have no idea what we're talking about today. It's a crazy birthday to find out that the big event of the day is a former prime minister got assassinated on my birthday.
Yeah.
What a joy. I always like looking at, historical events on this day, and you're like, oh, great. Mm-hmm. Next it'll be like, oh, the Titanic. But unfortunately, it's not there.
The assassination of the Japanese prime minister is definitely a history-making event. So,
yes. Former prime minister, though. I mean, it's like obviously the guy is pissed off. Usually, they go after people who are currently in the office. I think it's a little odd to go for the former.
He was. People, I see the comments. I need to pad the walls here to reduce the echo. So if it's unbearable, I'll
just put the mic up on your face more, and it'll,
If I do this for the entire stream, will that be better?
Yes, and it's sexy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is better. Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Half stream, half ASMR. Love it.
The assassination. Abe was still quite politically active, so I mean, it's not like he was retired. And I'm not going to predict a hush hush from Barnes on vivabarneslaw.locals.com, but for this to be a disgruntled individual with a homemade shotgun. And there was a solid 4 seconds between the first shot and the second shot where this individual had clearly all the time in the world to target the guy from the behind, his back, with no security doing anything. Some senses are going off right now.
Oh, wow. And Ziggy Shrugs, thank you so much. That's a hell of a birthday gift. I definitely appreciate that. Oh, okay.
I think it's interesting because I think security may have just been shocked because they have like really strict gun laws, so they probably were shocked. They probably didn't even know it was a gun. They probably thought it was just like a car backfiring or something.
Yeah, but even still, But even still, there are a lot of stabbings in Japan. I mean, that's the weapon of choice when they don't have guns. But even still, to allow it was sparsely populated, the speech. The guy was close enough, clearly, with an open shot at Abe's back, and security let an individual get that close. I mean, it's something is rotten in Denmark. Or
also, Nate, this guy traveled around the world. His security would have to be trained on how to respond to a gun. I understand normal citizens would be going, this is Japan. What are you talking about? But these guys guard him everywhere in the world. And I would think that they would know the difference between a car backfire and a gunshot. Regardless, they should be tuned in. That's just my opinion.
Well, maybe, but I don't know. I think because when you look at the video, look at the way even he reacted and the crowd reacted. Like the first bang, it was like we'd all be freaking out. Oh my god, because we're kind of used to it. But there, even he just kind of looked like, what's going on? Like, it didn't trigger the same response I think that we're so used to it triggering here. So that's why I'm saying maybe the security was caught off guard, because securities do get lax, and I'm thinking it's also time, place, and manner, right? We're at the level of threats, that type of thing. It's not the threat is not the same everywhere, and I think that they misassessed the threat level there in Japan.
Sure, and we got Rob.
It's so interesting. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Rob, you found a place that the contractor was quiet?
I think so. How loud is my microphone right now?
It's not too bad.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Faran disappeared. Okay. I'm sorry, Faran, you were saying something?
Oh, I just realized my one cord is off here, so stand by.
Welcome to Fridays.
Now I've got to ask, because
somebody in the chat says they're Japanese. They know people who are there. Mimi.
Oh, did I say Abe or did I say Abe? I know it's Abe. I just have a friend named Abe.
Okay, we're back.
I was going to ask something, Faran. For people who don't know necessarily, myself included, is your first name actually Faran, and it's a play on words? Okay.
It's a play on word, yeah. It's my real name. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Did you know there's another Faran Balanced on YouTube with an E?
Yes, and we actually worked for the same network. We worked for RT America, and we met each other, and we were like, wait, your Twitter handle's Fair and Balanced? Wait, my Twitter handle's Fair and Balanced. So we just kind of came to like this mutual agreement, like it's the same handle, but he's FARRON, which is actually like just kind of another abbreviated way that was the way my mom almost decided to spell my name, believe it or not. But then she just went with FARAN. But yeah, it's my real name from a soap opera, Young and the Restless, circa 1986.
You pronounce it Faran or Faran normally?
Well, in the Midwest, it's just Faran, but in New York, it's Faran. In other different parts of the country.
And the South,
so
what is
on
it?
You.
Faran. No.
Faran. Yeah. So I truly respond to anything though. So, because I know it's a difficult name to like when you look at it and it's like, how does this go? So I totally get it.
I could see somebody saying Faran and being confused, but Faran, it doesn't look that hard.
I used to get Faran a lot as a kid. And I remember like in kindergarten, first grade, I was just mortified. There was even one time where I told like my teacher, I was like, my name's not Faran, it's Stephanie. Why, I don't know. But I think I was watching a lot of Full House at the time. But yeah, so yeah, but it's now I love it because a lot of people don't have the name.
And I would have pronounced it Faran because I know a Faraz, and I would have gone with Faran as my choice of pronunciation. I'll just.
And the best part is too. What's really fun with people is it's also an Arabic man. Like it could be an Arabic man's name, but it's spelled Pharan. So there are sometimes like when I would go to job interviews, people were like, "Oh, you're a woman," and I was like, "Yeah." They'd be like, "Oh, we thought it was a man," because there's a famous, I think he's an Indian actor named Faran Tarif, and when you Google Faran, he's the first one that pops up. I'm the second one that pops up. But yeah, it's actually an Arabic man's name too. So.
Oh, that's always confusing. My wife has that. She's Leslie. Because
okay.
I mean, there's the male Leslie, and then she's Leslie. Fun with things.
What was the movie? What was the movie where they had that argument? Leslie's a man's name.
Don't know.
It's Friday.
Okay, so what's in the news? I've Fortunately, we're sort of moving past Johnny Depp Amber Heard. It seems like they keep sticking their nose in the tent, though, and there's always a little residual. I'm trying to shift a little, maybe to the Manson case. I've got a video coming out about the Ezra Miller. Oh, there's a name for you. Is it Takata or Dakota? Iron Eyes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think it's
Anyway,
Dakota. I'm not sure.
I thought it was like Dakota, but I'm not sure either, because then it's Tokata, and I'm like, that's a kata. Anyway, I do not know Lakota speak, so I'm confused on that. What is everybody doing? And that might be a fun topic. Have you guys looked into Ezra Miller at all and what's going on there?
Other than he or she, what do we call they?
They.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on.
They
Ezra
have some
is
serious legal issues.
Ezra is insisting on going by they. That's
Yes.
They, them.
Okay, but,
Non-binary.
Wait, Viva, have you not seen the arrest video?
I saw one video which I think was in a Hawaiian bar, but maybe I haven't seen the most recent video.
No. He screamed at the cops, "I am trans. I must have a female arrest me. You must properly address my pronouns," or some variant
Yeah, he
of
was
that.
saying that while getting patted down.
Yes.
Okay, let me go see if I can find that right now.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
pronoun thing is getting crazy, because like even with the Elliot Page, gotta be careful with the Elliot Page, Ellen Page fiasco. I had that same thing happen to me, because when we were doing the Jesse Smollett thing, you remember how I was on stream, and I was like, these lefties are always, this supported this guy and believed this BS story. So I was like, who that whole monologue? We love Jesse. So I was like, oh, it was Ellen Page. So I was searching for it, and people in the chat, oh my God, you misgendered her, you dead named her. So I'm like, look, I'm searching for it. You cannot find that clip, because no one has that clip as Elliot Page. Everyone has that clip as Ellen Page. You can't find it unless you search the former name, unless you're saying Saturday Night Live and all these other people haven't changed the titles in the video descriptions for us to search. I have to search Ellen Page. So that's what I'm searching. And it's like, just because 3 or 4 years later she changed to Elliot Page doesn't mean that history of things that she did before that as Ellen Page disappears. So I think it's like this word police, especially with Twitter. Like now, if you put Ellen Page anywhere, you're blocked. So it is.
What if it's Ellen Page, the podiatrist in Iowa, by the way? Because guess what? Ellen Page is a common name. There are many
Yeah, exactly.
Ellen Pages.
They just created a moving target. Like in order to have a standard that everyone has to abide by, the standard has to be something that people can understand across the board. By doing this, you're creating a moving target where I can subjectively say that I don't want to be called this anymore. And then all of a sudden tomorrow, you are now expected to know what I want to be called. Fairfax County Public Schools just passed this through their school board, where you can now get suspended for misgendering because they'll perceive it as being a bully tactic. So if a student goes to another student and says, I want to be called this, if another student calls the student out by a different pronoun, that student is subject to possible suspension.
Jeez. Oh, by the way, I got the body cam footage.
Yeah, there it is. Roll this one.
Wow.
I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man. I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights. No. I got assaulted.
I didn't know there was a Fourth Amendment right to have your pronouns addressed.
No, but
isn't the Fourth Amendment freedom of the press?
No.
Unreasonable search and seizure.
But
okay.
I don't believe there's any.
I know it's one of them though.
My major issue is I noticed on Page's Twitter description it says he, they, and this is a serious question. Are we expected to pronounce they when you formulate it in a sentence? They is or they are. So am I expected to break grammar or break?
I think it's they are because
grammar.
they're two identities. No, I think that it is literally non-binary. Like I'm male one minute, I'm female another minute. So when you say that, it is like they're a multiple personality in a weird way. Well, I don't know though, but it could change tomorrow.
When their criminal defendant can can they say it was the other one?
Maybe. Why not?
That would be my,
there are no rules.
defense.
It's not. I mean, it's a joke almost, but not a joke. It's the absurdity of the
get
reality.
it.
No, but like whether or not they are criminally responsible if they are in fact in a state of exculpatory delusion. I mean, it's
By the way,
have a
folks,
discussion.
Faran, I believe, is a journalist, not a lawyer. So she's my
Definitely not a lawyer.
fellow citizen here, keeping an eye on the shyster sharks that are on the stream.
Yeah.
No, but
We're all citizens too, just because.
But Faran,
as I always say, I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference. So yes, you're citizens, but like when you're getting arrested, somebody's not there being like, get me a journalist. It's get me a lawyer, you know? So y'all have
I don't know. I'd rather have the journalist there. Someone film this shit, please.
but Faran, did I hear that? Did you say that you worked at RT America?
I've worked for all of them. I worked for NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS. I've been in the industry for more than like 15 years now. And at RT America, I had my own. I was always kind of a primetime anchor all around the country. And then at RT America, I had my own primetime show at Fair and Balanced. And I covered issues that nobody would talk about, like, you know, I mean, just anything and everything that the mainstream media wasn't talking about. And I had over like 3.5 international viewers a night. So it was a lot of fun. But then, as everybody knows, it got shut down. Like, disclaimer, I was against the invasion because a lot of people think that, you know, that obviously RT got that whole it's propaganda. I get it. There's also BBC that's government funded by the British. You have Al Jazeera by Qatar, and you have all these other networks. But it's just at that time with the invasion,
NPR,
it just got, you just got a major slap. But had my show not had an RT logo, you would have thought nothing of it because I talked about a ton of different issues. But
it's preposterous, Faran. I mean, I had been on RT a few times, did some interviews with, I won't remember the name right now, but was also on with the Gaggle. Even if they're state funded to some extent, they're still pretty critical in a way that you wouldn't think a state funded media would be of their dictator. But to say that they're state run any more than, like you say, BBC, NPR, CBC, and then you have Justin Trudeau complaining.
ABC, Australia. By the way, folks, you got it here. Grab the clip, immediately update David Frei on Wikipedia because everybody needs to know he's been on RT.
Oh, geez. Okay. I've been Peter Lavelle, the Gaggle, George Samueli. No, I've been on RT during the Ottawa protests. Never paid.
Oh, okay.
Never paid.
Yeah, we had a reporter there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who was the reporter that I was in touch with? It doesn't matter. I don't want to drop any names.
Paxton Boyd would have been, the reporter that was there, or John Huddy.
Never paid. So I was never a Russian paid propagandist. And you can only accuse me of being a Russian propagandist.
But I will say the other thing that was different about RT though, and this is where you do see when it's government funded versus advertising funded, is we had interview segments like, when you turn on any of the cable networks, it's like the interviewer gets 3 minutes, get your talking points in, see you later. Our interviews, and I'm sure you probably remember when you were on, they're like 7.5 minutes long conversations that you're having where you get much more of a well-rounded approach. The interviewer has more time to answer questions. And that's what you don't see in cable news because, I mean, let's face it, we all are here, lawyers, especially during the Johnny Depp trial, saw what it's like to fight the mainstream media, like your Law and Crime and Court TV. Not that they're full on mainstream, but there are narratives that are put out there, and a lot of it they have to answer to advertisers. Whereas in this space, what you guys did, you didn't have to answer to anybody but your own chat, and your own super chats. So that's where I will say it's a little bit different when you do look at not even just RT, but you look at Al Jazeera as one. For the longest time, Al Jazeera had that label on it after 9/11, where it was this, state media, run by the jihadi government, and it was like, no. And what people don't know is all the international networks that are here in DC. Rob knows, he's just over the river. It's all Americans working for these networks. Why? Well, they pay a little bit more, and the hours are a lot less grueling than it is in cable TV because you have an international hub that's over in the country, that's over in their country, on the other side of the world. So your hours can actually be like 9 to 5, which is very nice for people in the TV world, because when you're so used to having to work breaking news all the live long day, it gets tiring. So it's an easier life when you work for an international network.
Also, I remember, I don't know if anybody else remembers, there was a time when a lot of people felt like the best, most neutral news source was Al Jazeera, or I don't know if
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera. Seriously, there was a time for a few years that people were like, hey, if you want something somewhat neutral, go there. It's a pretty good news source.
Neutral from a certain perspective. You knew when it came to certain issues, particularly the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, it would be
right.
It
they wouldn't be celebrating it.
Yeah,
sure.
And you know, RT maybe is going to be a little bit more forgiving on Putin, but when it comes to international affairs, I never even knew what RT stood for until only recently, because I discovered RT during the Indonesian tsunami of 2015, where they were the only ones that had like really, really up-to-date exclusive video and coverage. I never even knew that it stood for Russia Today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm an idiot. So.
And honestly, I didn't either. I started working for them in 2019, end of 2019. And before that, I was with all of your mainstream sources here in the United States. The one thing I will say that it really opened my eyes to, that I urge a lot of Americans to look at themselves, is it really opened my eyes as to where we are on the world stage and how we are when it comes to foreign policy. A lot of my friends that work overseas in Europe, you know, when you have your local news versus our local news here in the United States, they're like, we have a whole 15-minute block on foreign policy, what's going on around the world. And I'm like, yeah, local news, we have like maybe 3 minutes if it's important, and that's it. And they're like, oh, foreign policy is huge in all the countries in Europe, even in Canada where you are. And you don't get a lot of that here in the United States unless you're, you know, watching, I think, more ABC nightly news or stuff like that, where they'll kind of touch on world events, but you don't get it enough here as you do overseas, which really opened my mind to a lot of what's going on across the world.
So you're saying you're frozen. Let me try to pop you in and out. Oh, there we go.
It's not me.
You have to move every now and then to remind people you're not frozen.
To remind people.
Now he's just gone on mine. Oh, I love software. Folks, this is amazing new software, but it is still, I guess, you know, there's still some kinks to it. I love what they're doing, but I'll be talking to the developers. Let's see.
And it's not the fiber optics. I'm in the room.
He's actually visible on the stream, everybody, out, because I've got another window, but I don't see him here. I don't know if you guys see him.
Mm-hmm. Who are you looking at?
Who are you talking about?
Viva?
Yeah, Viva. Yeah,
I see him.
I popped him in and out of the stream, and as soon as I did, I don't see him any longer. It's literally a transparent window on my screen.
I see him on mine now. He's
can you hear me?
Yes.
On the media coverage and the Ezra Miller thing. That's kind of a good segue. Has anyone seen the new Arizona law?
Not yet.
No.
They have a new law that basically prohibits recording of a police officer within 8 feet after the police officer's given you a verbal command.
Yeah.
There's multiple states that have that.
New York tried it. New York tried that, but I think it was
Maryland. I thought it had one.
The language is really
First
rough.
Amendment issue there.
So can you explain that though to the lay people over here? So you're saying they have to say like stop recording.
So you guys have seen, people have probably seen the First Amendment auditors. These are the guys that go in and they basically go into the camera and they're saying, I'm just recording the day-to-day interactions of our government agents or the political, the government branch. You are technically allowed, is your First Amendment right, to record your interactions and third-party interactions when they are out in the public domain. And you are given a heightened ability, heightened protection when that person is a public servant. They are acting on behalf of the state. They are a state actor. You have the right to monitor what it is that they're doing on behalf of the state. And you have the right to publish that out however you want. Freedom of press, freedom of publication. That's why you will see people throw their dash cams on, or they'll put their phone in a cup holder while they're being pulled over by a cop. Several states are trying to pass these laws that are basically saying it's a threat to the officer from a certain distance. And from a certain distance, there's actually a pretty good argument that the state has that if the person's engaging in an activity where they're moving their hand around or they're interfering with the actual police officer's responsibilities, then there's the state has the right to basically say, no, we could protect our cops. But every time they try to draft one of these statutes, they get vaguer and vaguer and vaguer with the language. It's like 8 feet from within 8 feet. Well,
you're being pulled over from, if you're interacting with a cop in your car, that would eliminate all dash cams because that's within 8 feet. So I can see already there's a problem. Now, if they're trying to subdue a subject or they're making an arrest, 8 feet is too damn close. You are actively potentially a threat or a problem with them conducting whatever they're doing. So I don't know. Well, obviously, they have to clarify the language. We've got a cop here, though, or former cop.
Cop
Nate.
and a professor, but two questions for Law and Lumber and Nate. Would that not already be covered by existing law?
Nate doesn't think.
Oh, no, Viva was talking. You didn't hear Viva?
I did not, no. Okay, weird.
Yeah, Viva literally was talking. He's like, Nate. And I'm like, what?
Well, here's my question.
I'm going to take myself out of the stream.
Until Eric gets it. Nate, Law and Lumber, would that not already fall within the disobeying a lawful order? Like, is this law even necessary? If someone says, stop, put your hands down within 8 feet, you're under arrest. Would that not already be covered under existing law?
Ooh, there's so many laws that you just hit on. Like there is the you are now being arrested. So you got to make several steps before you get there. I mean, the question is, where does this come into play in that police interaction from the police officer's first statement to you to the I'm getting handcuffs put on me? There's a lot that takes place through that process and a lot of rights that get triggered along the way. I don't know that this is already covered. If you're being arrested, the officer has the ability to take whatever's in your hands and take it out of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Is Nate frozen now?
I don't know.
I'm going crazy. All right. No. Yes. These laws are funny because I know here in New York we had something very similar, in which the rule is simple. You can film and record, however, but you were talking the test is whether it's reasonable for an officer or for a reasonable officer feel that you were interfering with the officer in the performance of his duties. So an 8 feet does not encompass everything. So generally, it's less legislation, which is happening there. But generally, when you're talking about something like this, you're really talking about what's reasonable. Here in New York, where everything is closed, you're on a subway. 8 feet is a long ways away if you're trying to record. But like you're saying, in a police car interaction, that's different. So generally, when they go up on appeal, that's what the courts look at. You want to first look at the officer's safety, which Supreme Court has said is paramount in these situations. Mm-hmm. But then you also have to have the reasonable understanding that this is a constitutional right, and the limitations on what someone can do within that realm have to pass strict scrutiny, that's constitutional muster. So in this particular instance, this 8 feet rule, generally, I believe is probably going to be struck down because you can't, just an 8 feet rule gets into a place where if you're, in certain situations, now you're violating the Constitution, and I don't think it would survive strict scrutiny. Where in other situations, 8 feet does make sense. So it's really a fact-specific issue, and here in New York, they really make it a fact-specific issue. So,
question, Nate: aren't there laws on the book already, and everybody that state you cannot interfere with an officer conducting his duty?
Yes.
Correct.
Well, then why do we need a new law? Because technically, I would argue that if you get up in their grill or you're doing something, even if you're videotaping, they can arrest you for interfering with an active incident. You don't need a new law. There's already something right there, and it's covered. And I think that, that's where the constitutional, all that weighs in, right? But if you're interfering and the officer's in danger and it's provable, then move on. Why do we need a new law? Makes me think you want something else. Right. Well, it's because they want something else. They want an extra benefit.
Well, my question though is Arizona, knowing as a journalist that there are many states either that are all party consent states or one party consent states when it comes to recording, this being either phones, video, what have you. Arizona is a one party consent state. meaning that if I'm the one party, I can record a phone call, a video of me with an, do officers, or do they not apply to like that one party consent law? Or?
No, well, the party consent laws are very specific. You're talking about things that are maybe over phones, over the landlines. Those things are the consent. Like if you're recording someone's phone conversation, that your protections are a little. You still have the privacy protections within the First Amendment with that, but when we're talking about being out and recording public officials on a public street, your protections are pretty much at its maximum. So those two-party consent laws do not apply to citizens in a public place, public officials' job.
Yeah.
Those laws would be unconstitutional if they applied in those circumstances.
Even like, for example, when I would go out to record, they would say, "Oh, you need to get off the property. You need to be on public property." So we'd have to go across the street. This particularly revolves in like schools and stuff like that. What if you're pulled over on the state highway? Is that not public?
It's public property.
It's public.
No,
it's public.
Public property.
But I mean, Faran, the other point of this one is that you are filming an agent, a state actor.
There we
go.
go.
You are filming a government actor, someone who is charged with a duty of both protecting you, enforcing laws. I mean, there's a heightened right there where your rights to film that state action are so much more significant because it is the public actor in that stage. I mean, the implications of something like this actually passing constitutional muster is really significant and becomes kind of scary that states are even trying this.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. If the cops are agents now, if the cop is off duty, then it's going to turn into the one party question that you're talking about, because then they're a citizen. So I was in the military, I'm a soldier. Well, off duty is off duty, like especially
it all depends on the state. Here in New York State, even if you're off duty and something happens, two things are triggered. Cops under state law have an obligation to stop any criminal activity when they're even off duty, and that triggers all that same protection. They can still make arrests. They're essentially are still cops while they're off duty.
I would argue that there's okay. Well, hold on though. If they're in the park with their kids, and there's no crime going on, and you go videoing them, I would argue that they're a civilian. I would say that the action that takes place, if they step in and react to something, then they become a cop instantly. Yes. But I'm going to say that off duty does still count. I would think that they do have rights as a citizen if they are, off the clock, off duty, and not engaged in a crime type of situation. My example is they're at the kids in the park.
Yeah, your initial example made it seem like we were talking about they were arresting someone or something like that, even off duty, like they were performing some function of being a police officer. But if you're off duty and you're with your family, you have the same rights as everyone else. But if something does happen and you respond to it, then you now have the duty as an officer. And there's actually been officers who've been prosecuted for not in Florida. Remember the officer for the school blank? I don't want to get this, but the school blank that didn't respond, and they arrested him and charged him for dereliction of duty. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, but he was on duty at that time. So
the gratuitous use of the word duty here has got me distracted.
Duty.
People.
Every time.
Yeah, duty. I mean, it's impossible. Here we go.
Duty.
I know.
Duty. Diarrhea.
Oh, you know what? Did you guys see the new thing that's happening here in New York? We have our own version of the Rittenhouse saga happening with they're calling them Bodega Jose.
No.
Oh, I saw small reports of that.
Yeah, so if you, I don't know, Eric, if you can search NYC Bodega. So of someone, it's a wild story, but a woman goes into a corner store, and she tries to buy her kids some candy. She doesn't have any money, so the store clerk takes the chips back and says, "Well, come back with some money." She pulls a knife on the clerk, and then walks out the store. A couple of minutes later, her boyfriend comes back, goes behind the counter, and starts accosting the guy. Right, this is an older guy, beating him up, doing whatever. The guy gets up, and now the guy, while he's behind the counter, pulls the store clerk up, and is trying to take him to another location. The store clerk grabs a knife that he has hidden under the counter and kills the guy. So now everybody, that's all on tape. It's all on tape. Everybody sees it, right? No one thinks that this guy's even going to be arrested. The DA's office has charged the guy with second-degree murder and give him $250,000 bail. So the mayor and everybody's like up in arms. Like, how could you do this? Is clearly self-defense, but it's crazy.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yes.
Outrage from the community grew after a judge initially set $500,000 bond for his release. But yesterday, with pressure on prosecutors, they agreed to drop it to $50,000, which allowed the Bodega Workers Association to post it for him. The altercation that led to the deadly fight was caught on store surveillance camera.
Well, I gotta be careful on YouTube. I'm not gonna.
No, they don't show the stabbing.
Okay.
I mean, he's physically trying to take
the news stations can't show it either, so you won't see it.
They don't show it. But it's because the mayor even came out and was like, "Yo, listen, this prosecution's kind of messed up. We know we're a liberal place, but you gotta give the people. We're taking away all the guns, so at least let this guy's, my God, could have been killed. So it's crazy."
Hey, Law Talk with Mike. Follow me on Twitter and tag me there. I'll send you a link.
What the hell is going on? Okay.
Legal Vices in the chat too. I saw Legal Vices is there.
Legal
too.
Vices.
Yeah, both of you. Just follow me, DM me, or let me know. I'll try to keep up. I'm slow.
But the insane piece of it is that you have something that's just so clear. Like, there's no doubt that this guy was clearly self-defense. Somebody came into his store, accosted him, went behind the counters, trying to take him to a separate location. Like, what else was he supposed to do? And the fact now that the problem is that this guy now has to pay money for a legal defense, right? He's got to pay money for a legal defense. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So now they're trying to. I think they're thinking about passing some legislation to not allow something like this to happen. But again, then you get stand your ground type territory. So.
What's interesting though is you saw, at least in the Rittenhouse trial, that was completely taken over by the media. It completely went straight to the white supremacist, was there to kill people. Whereas this one, it sounds like at least the community is like, wait a minute, why are you charging him? Why is this happening? So it seems like he's getting more of a fair trial by media than Rittenhouse did, But
the worst part I think about both the media and here in the city is that what they want is they want for all of us to believe that the police department here can protect everybody, but we know that's not possible. So even in this case, it seems like it's so political that right now we had murderers get out from no bail and go and remember the poor Asian woman that got accosted with the guy who had just been arrested for like murder or something like that, and then they're like, oh, we're going to let him out because of bail reform, and they let him out, and then he goes in and does something crazy. But now when somebody has a clear self-defense claim, it's like, well, we're going to put him in jail and give him $250,000 bail. So it's really about the politics. If this was, it's funny because I think it seems like the political piece of it. If we're talking about bail reform, why would you put someone who is clearly using self-defense, you got all the evidence, the mayor saying it, and still give him $250,000 bail? And then you got some murderer who's obviously a threat to everybody, who's got like 5 past crimes and all this other stuff, and that person you want to set free. It's the consistency doesn't make any sense. So.
What's interesting, somebody in the chat, Leslie Tonkin, I believe, said that he had a GoFundMe and they shut down his account.
Yeah. But that's because of GoFundMe's rules. You can't.
Anybody using GoFundMe, instead of Give, Send, Go is asking for it, specifically in these types of incidents where GoFundMe, since Rittenhouse, clarified that they will not allow you to use the platform to raise defense funds for a murder or a violent crime, I think is the general gist.
Okay.
So, but
they shut down Amber Heard, I think. So that's good.
I was going to say that policy extends to civil litigation too, doesn't it?
For what policy? Sorry.
GoFundMe's policy.
No. You can fundraise for civil litigation. But
what if it's SA claims?
Have a list. Yeah, see, they have a list of things you can't and certain things you can. So if you want to get a restraining order, you can. But if you're defending against someone taking out a restraining order, you can't. It's listed within the rules.
Give, Send, Go. Jacob Wells. Give Send Go is it's the Christian fundraiser. And when I had Jacob Wells on the channel, and I asked him, like, will you allow people to fund for certain procedures? And I think the answer was, we'll allow them if they're adults, and hope that they, see the error in their ways, but everyone can be redeemed. But Give Send Go is the platform. Go F me is Go F me.
Go F. Okay, fair enough. I can't disagree with that. Somebody in my locals had a question for the panel. I'm like,
I was trying to find the original video of the bodega on YouTube. It's only news reports, but
Berenson's Twitter lawsuit. Somebody's asking if we could discuss his Twitter lawsuit, and apparently Barnes isn't super impressed with it. I don't know. I know that apparently he had a suit and he settled with Twitter. And then Berenson has been kind of lashing out at anybody who questioned him settling. I don't know if you guys have seen any of that going around.
No, see now it says Twitter reinstates Berenson after permanently suspending his accounts. Berenson says Twitter acknowledged that my tweets. Okay, well, I'm going to read that. Well, we'll talk about that Sunday. I'm going to see what we'll see the terms of it, but I think I know what people's gripes might have been, that Berenson had a good precedent-setting lawsuit to take to the merits and not to settle for his own benefit, but not for the aggregate benefit. But I won't fault Berenson. I'll just read what happened here.
Well, while we're on it, I mean, this is obviously some deep topics or meaty topics, but one, Elon Musk, is he actually going to buy the company? Two, what do you think about Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, and all the suspensions? We sort of touched on that. So.
We all risk. I've talked about it. I mean, I've ranted about it. We can talk about it. It's
David's verified, folks. Note this.
I walk the fine line. If one objects to misgendering an individual, they have a name, they have a last name, they have a first name. Peterson's tweet was provocative, but provocative. I mean, I guess if you're sensitive, it was a justifiable tweet. In my mind, it's unjustifiable censorship, and it creates the animosity that it purports to protect or to fight for. And then Rubin getting yeeted for retweeting or tweeting the screen grab of Peterson's tweet. You prevent the discussion, and then you only further the divide, and you only actually cause more animosity among the groups you're trying to pacify.
Mm-hmm. There are times though where some of them, and you saw this a lot during the initial Trump era, where you saw a number of people that would come out and, guns a-blazing, really kind of trying to show this, see, you're losing your free speech and you're losing this and you're losing that. And while they might have been correct on some of those points, sometimes some of them I feel like took it a little too far, strictly for the grift, strictly to get, people's money, strictly to, I've met Steve Bannon a number of times. He's a super low, low key guy, but then you see him on his show. And again, like we know ourselves as personalities and stuff, but you can be a little
coming from Korea.
Hey, Legal Vices. But some of these people, I feel like sometimes they really know how to capitalize it. And granted, yes, you're going to make money, but some of them, like when I saw Dave Rubin then have to repost it to be like, see, look, they got rid of me too. I was like, really? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like they like to really push it even more. But I mean, who's to say? I mean, we all have to make money. They all have to make money somehow, and maybe that's one way to get more eyes on them. But some of them I think really lean into the grift a little bit.
I think Dave Rubin, I think he leaned it a little bit, but it is what it is.
This goes back though. I don't know how many of you watched Tim Pool on Joe Rogan with Jack Dorsey, and I always forget her name. Is it Veja or something like that?
One of his most viewed podcasts too, by the way.
Right. Well, and Tim Pool was using the whole dead naming concept as literally saying this is a way to entrap conservatives because it's something that they don't believe in. And just by having that policy, you're already saying that you are a, quote, left-wing organization versus a right-wing. And I think he had a point, because it's like, okay, well, if you take something that is one, quote, party or group really believes in, and then you punish them, that is kind of a nice little tripwire to get rid of the rest of them. And you could do that with different groups. I mean, it could be discussing that you don't like eating pork, and that could be technically targeting two cultures, Jewish and Arabic cultures. Both have some issues with pork, as an example.
Well, it's just like when I like they have those Christian sites, and you can't say certain things that they won't allow you to say, and they're protected just like everyone else under 230, right? Because they run their site, they have their terms of service, and say you can't say or do these particular things on our site. And I'm like, that's kind of but they're like, hey, we own it, we do. And now I think Twitter promotes itself. I think my only issue with Twitter is that they promote themselves as free speech. You can say whatever they want, and then come down on one side more aggressively than they come down the other side. I think that's the issue. But if you're talking about just the right to be able to do this, I can't argue with that, because it's just kind of like, if you're going to your site, you get to tell you what to do. But I think the issue is you can't say that we're treating everybody equally, and then it's obvious that you're not. I think that's the rub with Twitter.
Well, dude,
and YouTube too.
Look, every so often I see Sexy Saturday or Sexy Sunday is tweeting, I dare you to hit the hashtag on Twitter. Don't do it at work if you don't want to get fired.
I'm telling you, in terms of service, it's porn is allowed. Porn, matter of fact, porn is like the number one place for porn actors. That's like the number one. That's the number one site.
Yeah.
Twitter.
All the webcam bots, they're all on it.
Yeah, they're all on Twitter.
Nothing's done. They live freely.
Or so I've heard.
Oh no, I've seen it.
It's a lot.
We were talking last time about it. I looked at, I was like, what is he? I was like, oh no, he's right. Yeah,
there's stuff that's beyond porn, and I discovered it from an episode of Howard Stern where they were talking about an annual festival, and then I said, it's not possible that this is on Twitter, and it's on Twitter, but
what festival?
Dead name someone. It's not a festival that you're gonna want to. Anyone's gonna want to go to, but. Faran, the thing about the grift, and I can see people seeing it as the grift, but when Ruben does it and when Gadsad does it, one could see it as a grift, and the other way to see it is the deliberate pushing of the envelope to show the absolute absurdity of what's going on.
True.
The idea that you cannot refer to Paige as a her, even in Paige's role as a pregnant woman in Juno. At some point, you have to push the envelope, and you have to make people say,
crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. And then that it changes from one day that literally changes from one day to the next. Some people are fluid in that. How do you know? And it's compelled speech of individuals when referring to another individual to a third party. It should never be part of policy. And then there's the broader discussion as to whether or not the policy is in fact reaffirming problematic tendencies in the first place, as opposed to addressing them. But
by the way, that reminds
me. Those.
Go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
No, I'm saying, did you guys ever see those? They polled conservatives. Why do you guys, because Twitter, if Twitter's so bad, YouTube is so bad, and all these other sites, and they said, well, why don't you use the conservative-only sites like Trump's site or Parler or whatever? And you know what they always, most of what the biggest response was? Because we don't want to be in echo chambers. We want to go to the place where the other side is to fight. But it's the exact opposite when it comes to the liberals. So it's kind of like, so Twitter's kind of serving that their two purposes where it's like we hate the censorship, but we go there to fight, right? So it's one of those things where it's just like, how do you solve that problem? Because if you do make a site that's just conservatives, they don't want to go there.
Well, that's the whole preaching to the choir thing, though. I mean, isn't that? That's no fun. You get nothing out of preaching to the choir.
Well, it doesn't do the public any good. You haven't done the public a service at all. You've taken away from the public's understanding of the topic. I mean, look at who's our favorite law professor, Michelle Dauber, over at Stanford. And she blocks all replies or everything to all of her tweets. She tweets some of the nastiest things, puts people on direct blast, calls them misogynist, then blocks them so they can't respond. And this is a law professor. She's yelling to an echo chamber of people, and she's just inflaming them. It's just getting people more mad and hateful to each other. There's no discussion. It's just horrible.
I think I got blocked by Dauber. I'm just going to go check if I'm still blocked.
I know you got blocked by Dauber.
She called women skirts. Now, for some reason, in Dauber's mind, it's not misogynist to call a woman a skirt when you're a woman, as if there's no such thing as women who hate other women. Dauber is,
Hey, they have names for Nate too.
I'm not gonna
Where he
lie,
went-
I've never called a woman a skirt. So that whole, I don't know what that is, but y'all can call me a skirt any day. I don't care. I don't take offense.
So presumptuous in any event, like as though women. There's men who wear skirts as well, and I'm thinking the Scotsman here. I'm still blocked by Dauber.
And
Where'd Nate
women
go?
wear sensible pantsuits.
It's so crazy that they just see in everyone else what they know or do not know to be true of themselves. Dauber is a misogynist. And it's a weird way of phrasing it, but.
One of the funniest things I saw over the weekend. So on July 1st, I don't know if you guys have seen or if you guys have Amazon Prime, the Terminal List came out, and it's Chris Pratt, and it's a bunch of Navy SEALs. A buddy of mine, he was a former Navy SEAL, started as a stunt guy, then worked into being like the ammo technician and the head ammo guy on set, which has a lot to say about the armorer. Thank you, who has a lot to say about the Rust set. He was like, they didn't know what they were doing.
America's Untold Stories, over 20 episodes dealing with just that subject.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But he's in the Terminal List, and what Chris Pratt did is he had a bunch of these Navy SEALs actually being the actors and showing how they actually would do raids and whatever. So it comes out, the reviews coming out of it from one side, like the left versus the right, are insane. The right side is saying that this is great for the military to show, because they show a lot of PTSD with Navy SEALs and what have you. It's like, okay, great, cool. And mind you, they've been trying to cancel Chris Pratt for like the last 5 months to no avail. But the liberal side was unfreaking believable. They were like, one of them was like, they showed no reference to people and their pronouns. It's like, yeah, Navy SEALs are going to be like, hang on, what is your pronoun? Like, what? You're talking about Navy SEALs here and the military, and saying how they didn't show enough women. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. It wasn't woke enough. And it's like, I don't know if any of you guys are in the military, but that's the last thing that they're kind of worried about right now.
Oh, no. I don't know. Go look at the Marines.
Well, the new woke ad, yes, I know.
Yeah, and go to this. If you want to have fun, look at the CIA recruitment ads now. No, they're very concerned about pronouns. Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
my.
it's just,
There was the Super Bowl
like, what?
advertisement for Army. Go ahead. Sorry, Faran.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was just say that there was one of the Army recruiting things that came out around the Super Bowl time with the soldier has two mommies thing, and how it was so great.
Mm-hmm.
We know, they know. I have problems. Just with.
And what's
Go
interesting about
ahead,
that
Viva.
ad?
I mean, I just personally feel it's unnecessary. Maybe it's because I have all this white privilege that I'm not aware of, being like 1 out of 400 Korean people in Korea are me. But it's just I have problems going back to The Witcher or Game of Thrones, and things are written a specific way for specific cultures and specific characters. If you want another group, write better movies for that group you want to be part of. Write better. You don't force it for the sake of forcing it. Organic stuff I have no problem with.
But I'll go one step further. It's not an issue to me, and I take for granted it's not even a consideration for other people. So when you make an ad about it, you're actually rubbing it in my face as though I would have had a problem with it but for that ad. If I started seeing ads, I mean, I'll just take because I happen to be Jewish, but a very bad practicing Jewish person. If I started seeing ads about how the military was like Shomer Shabbos, I would take issue with it. I would find that demeaning and degrading. And I suspect other people would get irritated by the ad and not feel like it's a more welcoming environment. When they start running those ads, it presupposes that there are people who have a problem with that to begin with, in which case that ad's going to do nothing but make them angrier. And for the vast majority of people, nobody cares in the most benevolent sense. Nobody cares. You do you, we'll do us. But when you make these ads, you're actually moving away from your objective as an entity and into something much more virtue signalish, which is bad for everyone.
Okay, you said that way better than I did.
But even in that ad too, what they do is she says, I have two mommies and we used to fight for equal rights. And it shows where she's at an LGBTQAI plus rally. And from
you
what
have
I
that
remember,
memorized. Good job.
Yeah, you got the AI plus too.
I know. I'm
If
impressed.
you don't say one of the letters, you're cast aside in the media if you forget a letter. But you see where they're at this rally, And for the longest time, I remember the military was never politicized. You had your generals where, whether they were working for a Democratic House or a Republican president or what have you, they were never politicized. It was just, this is the job. And now when you're showing that, we fought for equal rights and this, it's like the military is positioning itself.
I'm going to push back a little.
Ideologies.
I'm going to push back a little just because of history. MacArthur was fired because of political reasons. General Smedley Butler went at war with everybody because of the whole plan against FDR.
They got political. They were fired because they got political. You have this ad that is insanely political. Yeah.
Yeah, but MacArthur, I think, is a bad example. He refused to salute the president.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whether it's ads or movies or TV programs, I don't care. But like Viva was saying, I don't care what Star-Lord and Guardian of the Galaxy's sexuality is. I give zero intercourses about it. But when you're saying, look, this is who he is, it's like, why? What does this add to the story? It's just so someone can say, oh, hey, that's me. I'm going to go buy tickets. And it's like over-the-top product placement where there's suddenly just a random can of Coke on the screen for 5 minutes while people are having a conversation. It's the same thing. It's like you're just putting it there for the purposes of virtue signaling. It's like, hey, look, we're part of the group. We're not exclusionary. And I think that anything that pulls you out of the movie to go, why are they doing this?
It's worse.
Is detrimental.
It's worse. What they're trying to do is they're basically throwing a red flag out there. They're saying, look, we're gonna make this so vocal. We want to point out everyone that's going to oppose this. We have already shouted down the major corporations. We've already shouted down all the major politicians. We've shouted everyone down in the majority. We are this small, loud minority. For all of those who have not yet raised your hand as being in the majority, here's an advertisement to piss you off so you can show us who you are. And then we're going to go and try to cancel you too.
That's true.
But my big issue is the training. I don't like feeling like I'm in training every time I watch something, because my purpose is to literally just watch a show. And it's funny because there's a show coming on Amazon Prime. I forget what it was, but I complained about it to my wife because just the premise of the show, I was like, why are you doing that? And the basic thing is they're saying this kid has to live amongst everybody and has this secret. He's gay. And I'm going, why do you have to do that? I've got a great idea. Why don't you just say, there's this kid who's trying to get around in the world. He's different than other people, and he's just trying to get by. I can go, oh, hey, you know what? I don't get along with everybody. I don't know everything. And then over the show, you might discover, oh, he happens to be gay, and that might be what did it. So it's more about a person who's trying to interact with society, a story versus, oh, hold on, let me drop everything and watch. I got to learn the gay lesson today. I don't care if somebody's gay or not. I don't care if somebody's this or that. I care about people. And if people are struggling and they have to have troubles in their life or whatever, and that's a good story and good drama, I'm in. And it doesn't matter what the cause is or anything else, but how about we just tell a story and make it a good story that I can follow, and maybe I'll get a lesson out of it accidentally.
Well, have y'all noticed how there's almost no heterosexual kisses or relationships on television anymore? I was watching all of the new iterations of Star Trek on TV and the 100 in the same. And I was like, no wonder there's no people left after the apocalypse. They're all gay or lesbian characters. There's no heterosexual people left to repopulate the universe.
Mm-hmm. I was at the preview for Elvis last week with my family, and there's a movie coming out with it's Billy something. He goes around, he's Billy on the street. He's coming out in a movie, and it's about a gay guy where he's on the search for a gay boyfriend or something to that effect. And then it's where they're all sitting around a table because they all work for this LGBTQ AI plus rally thing, and it's like it's really in your face. I looked at it though, and I was like, okay, like I see a movie like that coming out, for the gay community and stuff. And then I look over at my dad, who's the complete and total boomer, and I'm like, huh? And he's like, not seeing it. And I'm like, totally guess that one. It's just that generation, and I think even just other people trickling down. They don't want it shoved in their face. If they want to go see it, they'll go see it. But Yeah, I was just not seeing it.
So I think that's the problem, is that instead of making, giving you an option to see it, it's just like for instance, right? They took all those characters and they turned them all female. So Captain America is now female, Iron Man. So all the male characters are now female. And it's purposely done because on one end, I do understand the argument. We want more representation. We want to show different characters and that's one thing. But the second part about it is that I want to be entertained in a way where you're not giving me a sermon. Like one of the videos that I personally feel bad that I made was one where I was calling out Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, for having Ernie Hudson in the movie. And I was like, that character of Ernie Hudson was just a token black character. He's the only non-scientist. They pay him like $10 an hour. He was, they just threw him in just to have a black face. But I did research after I did that video and found out that was totally not true. The original Ghostbuster, the original lead character, was Eddie Murphy. The role was actually written for Eddie Murphy, and he had a scheduling conflict. But I was so woke in my thinking that I thought I was like, oh, it's obvious they're racist people, blah, 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 blah. But then, it forced me to say, well, listen, I'm starting to become a hammer, where I see racism everywhere, even places where there is none. And then, so I think that's where we're at now. The pendulum has just swung so far the other way, where now you have all these hammers out here seeing racism, sexism, and all this stuff, and not really looking at the underlying facts and saying, well, it's not what it seems, right? That people make mistakes. And on top of that, sometimes this thing doesn't sell. And I think that's where our society has to get to. We have to get back to the point where, okay, we've done with this nonsense. And I think Amber Heard is doing a lot to push us back, because that believe all women stuff, that stuff is dead now. Even the liberals are saying believe all women is bull. So, so I think we need more things like that to happen to kind of push us back to a place of being more reasonable with these things.
Well, she keeps coming at it. I mean, I saw her trending again earlier today, and I'm like, okay, she's got a Amber Heard has got to have a publicity team or whatever who keeps trying to start a trending tag, and it's hilarious because every time she does it, it gets co-opted by everyone who hates her. So if you follow the hashtag, like I stand with Amber Heard, it'd be like, stand with it because she'll probably attack me if I don't, or whatever. People will just come up with every snarky comment in the world, or I would stand with him, on and on.
Let me try for humor. You're better off standing with Amber Heard than squatting with Amber Heard, because you might result in a poop on your bed.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, is Baldwin. Stand with Alec Baldwin because you don't want to stand in front of him.
Yeah, right. But have you ever seen a social movement get so destroyed by one story? I've never seen like
Jussie
this Johnny
Smollett.
Depp story.
Not Jussie
Yeah,
Smollett.
Jussie.
He never the LGBT story and BLM though.
Yeah,
that still went on after that. Yeah, and they even said we love Jussie, but I think Amber Heard totally, like me. Even the Me Too people are saying that this is not Me Too is different than what it is. So,
but then you can still spin that whole argument the way Juicy Smollett and Amber Heard were doing. Even if they are lying, even if it didn't happen to
woke
them,
up.
then it's bringing light to those that are telling the truth.
Yeah,
that's how you spin that.
No,
Hey,
that's terrible messaging, though. That's terrible spin. Like
even if you're lying.
Even if you're lying, then you're bringing light to it. Yeah, you're bringing the wrong type of light to the movement. You're showing the movement as being comprised of a liar.
Well, not just that, but you're also highlighting the fact that there might actually be so little of this perceived problem that you have to rely on fabricated hoaxes to propagate or to continue to promote that which might not exist as prevalently as you're arguing for based on the hoaxes. It is very counterproductive and counterintuitive, and might actually show that we might actually be living in a very tolerant society in general.
Well, that's why we're looking at some serious problems with the Marilyn Manson defamation case, where Evan Rachel Wood literally prepares a checklist for people to sit around in a town hall meeting to check off things that Marilyn Manson may have done to them, so they can coordinate their efforts, get their stories to align, use the same catchphrases, use the same buzzwords to move forward with their claims. I mean, now you're taking it to a production line level.
Do you have something on that? I would like that, because I'm covering the Manson stuff now. I had Colonel Kurtz on Wednesday, and
you lucky bastard.
There's
I'm trying to get her on mine for a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot.
Reach out to her. She's cool.
Yeah, she's fine. Anyway, there's a lot of moving parts to that thing, and yes, there's a lot of mirrored language. Like they all say grooming, they all say, and it's just there's templatization going on. So if you have that, please share that with me because I would like to.
I'll tweet it to you. It's actually an attachment to the complaint. They sent out to every one of his former relationships and said, we understand that this may have happened to you. We're having these meetings. Here's a checklist. Check off these things and come and meet with us. And someone they sent it to said, well, I don't think I'm going to, and I think I'm going to release this.
Okay, that was Elma Gore. Elma Gore sent that off. And by the way, Elma Gore was the template for Juicy. I don't know if you guys realize that, but Elma Gore, before Juicy was beat up by Trump supporters, Elma Gore was beat up by Trump supporters because she did a painting that was offensive of Donald Trump. I don't know if you knew that. So
Isaac Baruch's put out some offensive Trump paintings, and people love him.
Oh yes,
but those are the MAGA lovers. There's the MAGA lovers that love him. So yeah, it never
we're not
ends.
talking about anything controversial here, Joe.
But anyway, I'm just pointing it out. There is that issue. She's got kind of a history, and I believe, I definitely would like to get that from you. But I think that's Elma Gore, who was working with Ashley Walters, who is Marilyn Manson's assistant. And by the way, how classy is this? You have an assistant who obviously has contact information for every person around him. And you say, hey, let me go ahead and send out this information to all these other people. Oh, while I'm at it, I'm going to pretend I'm an FBI agent. Oh, and also I'm going to claim to have filed a police report on one of the people around there. And I will pull a police report number from 1991 and put it on there. So posing as a cop, posing as FBI, I really am starting to wonder if some actual charges might not come in. What's this, Nate?
Well, this is something that's going viral right now. This is Joe Biden reading, like you remember Ron Burgundy, how whatever you put on the teleprompter, you read.
You'll read.
The same thing happened with Joe Biden.
Again?
Oh no!
Again, he's done that before. He's done it before, dude.
Before you air that,
blink 3 times if you're a hostage.
He's going to say comma or new paragraph.
Go ahead.
Power. It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
In the quote, repeat the line.
End of quote.
Well, hold on. Did he
repeat the line.
He said repeat the line too.
Yes.
He said, end the quote, repeat the line.
Can we play that one more time?
It is consistently higher than the percentage of power. It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not without electoral and or political or precise. Not and or political.
No.
Wait a minute, he actually did repeat the line after saying repeat the line.
I'm gonna give Joe.
This is elder abuse.
No, I have occasionally left a voicemail where I say, "Hey, it's David. Give me a call back. New paragraph." I've said this leaving voicemail. And the other thing, I retweeted that video where he seemed to have put the Medal of Honor on the veteran's neck backwards.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I checked. And so, like, I'm now once bitten, twice shy when it comes to Joe Biden. But that is hilarious. But we've all done. Who hasn't said comma new paragraph?
Oh, yeah.
But
you're doing it because you're a voice to text guy.
Yeah. Can I tell you somebody who reads a teleprompter though? Those cues are in separate brackets. Like it's not like it's the same. They're in these special brackets and then they're italicized. They are clearly different to the eye, not to read them. I mean, it's very clear. Grandpa didn't get it.
He said, end of quote.
End of quote.
Repeat the
line. But now, Viva, when you do the voice to text thing, and I do it all the time, and my friends, we all make fun of each other. We're like, okay, please go here and do this period. And we're like, oh, fuck, that was a voice text.
Yep.
But you laugh about it and you correct it. You don't just keep on going. Go, oh my God, I didn't even realize what I did. I mean, he was oblivious. He did it. That's the fun part.
Oblivious. And if you watch that video, I keep referencing my grandmother who lived to 103, but she had dementia. You look at his eyes. They're glazed over, unfocused, and you know those eyes if you've seen those eyes. It's clear, and it's not funny what's being done to Joe Biden. But that clip is obviously going to go viral regardos.
Well, he has one word for America too. But
that was his moment in the speech, and he blew it, but in the worst way possible.
Have you guys seen the new Hunter stuff that came out? The new Hunter Biden stuff.
The Chinese connections to the Chinese oil company.
No. Where it's from his laptop that it's just released. I talked about it on my show last night. Where
voicemail?
He's in like no. It's where it's videos of him. If you search the Daily Mail on it, you'll see it there, Eric. But it's where he went to a detox center, and he's in a weightless like tub, and he's taking a video of him naked in the tub, lighting a crack pipe, and then grabbing a White Claw. And then texting his dad, like, Dad, can you wire me 20K, and basically takes the money and goes and buys crack and sits in this like weightless tub, filming himself the entire time. And it's like a weird green room that he's in. And then, mind you, as this is all coming out, he was at like a White House ceremony yesterday in front of all these people shaking hands. And you're just like, is this real life? I mean, what is going on? Nobody's going to ask the question like, hey, buddy, how's that crack addiction coming? I mean, nobody wants to ask anything.
Well, he drinks White Claw, so
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's funny because I mentioned that on the stream one time, and I got blasted because people were like, "Oh, you're making fun of his addiction and this." I'm like, people are sensitive to the addiction thing now, so I'm like, all right, whatever. But when the president's son is smoking crack pipes, I think that's newsworthy stuff. So
well, you're not making fun of him for the addiction. Full stop. What you're pointing out is the fact that the father knew about it, and it's a corrupt crime family from top to bottom, that his known drug-addicted son, instead of helping him, he was being facilitated through the actions of the father, presumably because the dad was getting 10% kickback for the big guy. So it's not the drug addiction per se, it's the way it was ignored, facilitated, and hidden by the media and the president.
By the way, this is the quietest.
Twitter shut down the New York Post.
Yeah, I'm in shock. This is the quietest Joe Neerman has been on a show that I've had, maybe ever. What's up, Joe? Oh, I can't even hear you.
Oh,
he's muted
too.
too.
That's why.
Maybe that's why.
Joe's been trying to get in for 10 minutes.
I'm like,
Joe, we hear you now, Joe. We hear you now.
I don't.
That's true.
I don't hear him.
I know. I don't hear him either.
Hold on, Eric. I'm gonna make room for Joe in my square. I gotta get out.
I've got to bounce too. Power tools have found me again.
Bye, Viva.
There you go.
Joe, I was looking around. That was the first words I said since I got here. So that's why I was like, Arrow. I was sitting here. I was the eye candy. So.
Oh yes, definitely the eye candy.
Not to draw the crowd away, I'm doing one purely Canadian story. Tamara Litch, the judgment should be read at 1:30, but there's been like a massive Rogers communications outage in Canada. Banking's affected, cellular's affected, so whether or not it affects this court reading, we'll see. But I got to go and.
Well, I'm going to be wrapping up here soon anyway, and I'll throw people your way whenever I finish. I definitely want to do the super chats.
Okay, go for it. I'm going to leave, but have a good afternoon, everyone. Joe, I'll see you soon.
Take care, Jim.
Faran, nice to meet you, everyone.
All right. There's some actual good legal questions in here, too. Vehicles an extension of your home, at least in my state, so dash cams would be legal to record a police interaction, ?
State by state issue. It all depends on, but it's really a state by state issue.
Okay, and Hodges
vehicles not extended to your home.
Hodges is saying, film with a drone 7 foot 9 inches above them. Then what? I don't know.
Sure. I know when you get higher up, you start getting to federal regulations, FAA, and things of that nature. So.
True. I put this up earlier. Where is he hiding the alpacas? I shared this with you, Nate. I know. I was like, oh my God, it's so hard to watch. There's Jerome Davidson running for Congress in Arizona, and his campaign ad, I think, is a very strong point for those who appreciate the Second Amendment. But boy, it is so intense. It's like, okay, I am not getting in the middle of that one because that's a hard ad to watch.
That's hard.
Well, it was almost like the other guy in Missouri, who was the former Navy SEAL, where he goes rhino hunting, and it's where he like busts into a house, and it's on that level.
But the one thing I will say, I will never argue again with extremists about constitutional rulings, because the Roe v. Wade ruling, as soon as I just said, hey, listen, this is exactly what the text was. This is the test. This is how they figured it out. I then became an anti-abortionist. They put me as right could possibly, and I said I didn't even give an opinion on whether I thought it was good or not. I just literally explained how it happened, because I think sometimes when you get these Supreme Court rulings, people it's the emotion is so bad that any reason or why things happen just goes out the window. They just hate women. Well, their reasoning for it, so.
All right. Leave it to Eric, Viva, and Nate to distract me from work on a lazy Friday of a short week. Awesome.
Oh.
I appreciate that very much. Dragon Slayer. When I joined the Navy, they didn't care what parents I had. Yep. A lot of us saw the 2-mom commercial that said, we are corkscrewed. Don't ask, don't tell. Worked until now. Godspeed. Yeah. I mean, there were generals who, they're.
What do you guys? All right, so we were going to a theme park, and how they have the women's dressing room and men's dressing room, obviously, and so we had. I don't want to say that the person was transgender. It seemed like the person was technically transgender, but the person said don't call them transgendered, but they wanted to be identified as a woman, but it's like a whatever, right? But they wanted to go dress in the female facility. But now I got young girls, right, going inside there. So I'm like, all right, so I'm going to go in there too. If you're going inside there, which is me, I'm going inside there too. They got offended. So now security comes out. They're like, oh my God, why do you want to go into the women's? I'm like, because this person, they'll go in there too. Oh, but they identify as a woman. And I said, I do too. so then it was kind of like, are you lying? Are you telling the truth? I said, no, I'm not sending my 12-year-old and my 6-year-old in there alone, because I thought, there's just going to be women. But now that I know, I just got to identify. So are you telling me I can't go in? Because I wasn't saying that to try to make fun about it, but I was like, there's a security concern. Not even saying this person would do anything, but I just was uncomfortable with letting my girls go in there and change, in this particular environment. But I kind of conflicted about that. Was that the right thing to do? Or they allowed me in? But was it the right thing to do or wrong thing to do? Would you guys even do something like that? Like now, how would you handle a situation like that? Because it just made me think about it. Like even my daughters were asking why that happened. I'm like, it's kind of the situation. But what do you do in a situation like that? Would you guys have let your daughters go in there and change? I don't know.
I mean, when it becomes a question of security over making people feel better, sometimes I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable. My kids are going to be safe. Tough shit. I don't have kids, but I would just kind of rule on the whole. Look, nothing personal. But no.
Well, yeah, I think that's it. If you have to ask the question, the answer is no.
Yeah.
If you have to ask if it's safe or if it's comfortable, the answer is no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was talking a little bit about this last night because I got asked about it, and I'm sure you can kind of relate with your daughters too. I have younger nieces and nephews. I don't have kids of my own, but a lot of these kids are hearing more and more about this stuff. And I don't think people realize that, kids are smart. First of all, yes, I would have been uncomfortable in the same situation. Yes. But these kids are hearing more and more and more about this stuff. And I feel like this is just ruining childhood. Kids are smart. They can figure stuff out. They figure it out on the playground, talking to their other friends. But now it's like, I was even discussing this, like I said last night, where I have nieces and nephews where the girls were saying, oh, well, we're transgender now. They're like 10. And I'm like, what do you mean you're transgender? Do you know what that means? Like, well, sometimes I like to play with boys. I'm like, that's not what transgender is, It's like these kids are being inundated with this kind of stuff. And I just feel like it's just kind of ruining kids right now. You know, I just feel terrible for them to have all this woke stuff around them.
Yeah, I don't.
That's just me.
When it comes to kids, I'm kind of like whatever. You know, kids are. I'll be rude. Kids are dumb, okay, and they come up with different things, and they just literally, you know, one day they might want to be Wonder Woman, and it might be a boy who wants to be a Wonder Woman. And there's like 4 or 5. I don't really care, but in general, my only issue is that doesn't mean go run and put them on hormone blockers. Now we've got a problem. It's like if kids want to act out, I mean, God knows there's something, you know, historically out there called a tomboy. Girls who like to run with boys because girls develop faster than boys and they're usually stronger, faster, better until a certain point when testosterone kicks in and throws it around, and all of a sudden the girls become more feminine.
Now they should change it from tomboy to Elliot boy.
Oh.
Oh, Joe.
What? What?
No, I'm saying it's a good joke.
I'm just saying.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Hey, I don't speak much, but when I do, I want to leave it powerful.
You blast us.
Carry on. No. Just got no. Anyway,
when I was saying kids who are smart, though, what I mean is that they see stuff and they're like, okay, this is kind of weird. This is kind of okay. That meaning like kids are very observant. And that's where I was saying, like, where they're hearing all of these words and they have zero idea what these words mean. And I never knew what a transgender was when I was growing up, you know, and it's you find out later maybe when you meet one or whatever, but to have all
why
this
the
kind of
F
stuff,
should you? Why should you? Why should anyone know this? Why should anyone?
Here we go. This is what I wanted. Trigger him.
Know this? Why? Why don't we just start waving like dildos in front of 4-year-olds and say, "Hey, this is a dildo. One day you might want to shove this in one orifice of your body." Why? Why the hell are we showing this to kids? And this is so stupid. And it's just not something that is something that any rational person, anyone who's actually being objective, thinks makes any freaking sense at all. It pisses the hell out of me. It's so freaking wrong. I'm telling you right now, someone did something like that in front of one of my kids. I don't care. I would literally go over and pop the guy in the face. Like when we hear what's happening at the story time hours, when we hear what's happening as far as just shoving, like a little girl being taken around by somebody, I don't even care if it was actually a woman doing that to a little girl. Like someone, a cis woman, whatever the freak you want to call women, but I don't care if it's actually a woman who was doing that. Like, what are you taking like a little kid around and like while you're like popping around, walking around in nothing, and like basically strutting that off to little kids? What the hell happened to innocence of children? Is there anything that's just like is more innocent that should never be freaking tainted than keeping sexuality away from kids? Now we don't just like not keep sexuality about them. We're gonna start dictating it because you're a girl. You said you like navy blue. Obviously you want to be a boy. Let's give you hormone blockers. As if this hasn't been happening. As if kids haven't been saying that kind of crap for the last 5,000 years. There's always some percentage of children out there which are going to, a boy wants to dress up like mommy, especially if he doesn't have a dad in the home. So it's like, oh, that means he wants to be a girl? Oh, that's the shoving hormone blockers in front of him? And that's what some people, like when I mention this, people are like, oh, well, they can always undo hormone blockers. No. Stop playing Frankenstein with children. You don't know what the freak you're talking about. That they can undo hormone blockers. That's not, you don't know that. Nobody knows that. Why would you even risk one child just so you can cater to the 1 in 10,000, 1 in 100,000, 1 in a freaking million, who 1 probably in 100 million who has actually like enough of psyche issues that's what they really need. And frankly, I'm not even sure it's that many. And so instead, you're going to just screw up child after child after child after child after child after child because, hey, well, you know, Timmy put on his mom's high heels. Just go to hell. Leave our kids alone. It's not even. It's not a joke. It's not something that's funny anymore. I'm tired of kowtowing for some reason that people feel like they're morally superior when you're actually being complete and total assholes and freaking up other kids. Other people's kids, not your own children even, and ruining the innocence of the children in Western America. Because this doesn't happen in the Middle East. They're not stupid enough to screw around with their own kids. And then you're going to wonder 15 years from now, 20 years from now, why are all the kids today so deficient or so malformed in their brains in this way or that way or this way or that way? It's because you're screwing them up. the way you did. You started screwing them up 15, 20 years ago by creating participation trophies. And this is taking the stupidity of participation trophies and how we mess up our kids to a whole other level beyond belief. It's a whole other level as far as how they have no chance of climbing out of this, because you screw out with someone's sexuality. We all know that's their identity. So leave them the freak alone, and certainly don't parade your stupidity in front of them. Someone comes around after they've gotten their first boner, and let's at least wait till they get one damn pubic hair before we start screwing up with their psyche. What the hell is wrong with you?
I agree, Joe. It's bad too.
About that, Joe, I do want to say one thing. First, yes.
But how do you feel about it, Joe?
The second thing is...
Did Joe know his mic was muted?
I was... No. I was called... I was called homophobic because I said I wasn't going to take my kids. They had the big LGBTQ parade down here, right? And I was like, I'm not going to take my kids to that. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, they're scantily clad, they're gyrating against each other. It doesn't seem for kids. And they were like, no, you're being homophobic because it is for kids. And I'm like, well, hold on, no. A parade that I take my kids to is like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade or that parade. But this parade is just, like I want to take them to the Puerto Rican Day parade because it's kind of the same thing. It has nothing to do with gender, but the fact that I don't want my kids to see that the sexuality part of it then makes me homophobic to the whole movement. I'm like, no, I'm not saying that, and I think that's kind of what it is. It's like if you want to have a parade,
it just makes
you want me to
crappy
introduce my children. You're not gonna, you're not gonna make me feel bad for not wanting me to take my kids to you being scantily clad and gyrating against each other, and to having to explain to my kids, well, that's what two men. No, that's not what I'm taking them there for. So I don't know. I still think there's a lot of work to be done because, again, if you want me to introduce my kids to something like that, you have to remove that overtly over-sexual piece of it, and then we can have a conversation.
But I'm gonna interrupt. I'm gonna have to run. There's someone that is ringing my doorbell at 2:30 a.m. I need to go sort this shit out.
It's probably
go get a Subway sandwich. It's just Smollett again.
It's probably
down here in Korea. We'll talk to y'all later.
It's probably some woke Aussie wondering why you're showing your face next to me. So later.
But I remember though, growing up in Chicago, one of the things that was always fun was going to the Gay Pride Parade in Chicago as in high school, because it wasn't over the top. What a lot of it was drag queens, and it was amazing floats, and they would throw glitter and all this other stuff. Never did you see the guys in thongs and stuff like that. Now, like even you had Christina Aguilera a couple weeks ago where she had this giant green neon sparkle dildo on stage. And this is for a family show. I don't know when all of a sudden this stuff started just getting over the top, but it was not like that. I remember for the pride parades for me growing up, which my parents were like, okay, that's fine. Like kids, it's all fun. I had gay friends. My mom had a lot of gay friends growing up. It wasn't a big deal. Now I don't know what is going on. It is crazy.
No, you're right. I think they had one in Atlantic. We were somewhere like in Atlantic City, one of those like towns, and they had a pride parade, and the kids went, and it was just like what you're saying, glitter, this, a lot of drag, that type of thing.
It was like a Disney parade.
Yeah, we didn't have anybody, with shirts off, and it was an age appropriate parade if you wanted children to go to. That's different than what's happening here. And I think those, hopefully if someone from that cause will watch this, which I don't believe they will, they'll understand that the difference is between the over-sexualized piece of it and the entertainment for children piece of it are two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agree. I should have had this up while Joe was going.
Remember to subscribe. Boom.
You should have had it up over my face. That would have been hilarious. Just be like shifting me over there.
Yeah, let me see. I can reserve that. There we go.
Voice.
That's a little more polite for Nate.
That's nice.
Yeah, they've changed the software now to where I can reserve the space on the bottom for super chats, which I think is kind of nice, rather than looking at it go up and down, up and down, up and down. So on that note, I'm going to go through the rest of these.
Eric is trying to make Wave happen like it's Fetch or something. I don't know. He keeps trying to sell it.
It's a better interface though. It's definitely better. It's a better interface.
Until it's going around.
And besides, they're not sold out corporate, shills. So I'm automatically.
That's why it's so glitchy. That's why it's so good.
Sad but true.
They need to sell out. They need to sell out.
I know. Compare Rumble and YouTube. I'm sorry, folks. I mean, I love that Rumble is independent, but go use their app sometime. It's just pain.
Impossible. I can't begin to figure it out.
Yeah, I did. And all I want to do, I mean, I pay YouTube. I paid them for years just so I can go click, turn off my screen, and stick my phone in my pocket and listen. Can't do that on Rumble. So whatever. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Has the Holy Father. Oh, okay. This is somebody asking about Ricada. Ricada just couldn't make it. I asked. Ricada's always welcome. He is not part of LawTube, but I'm not a lawyer, and it's not that. Faran's not a lawyer. We're just people who want to hang out together. We're all creators. So
yeah, look, when people say they're not a part of LawTube, I never really understand, because LawTube is not like a thing. It's like with the whole us being hung out together. You know what I mean?
Right, but
it's not like something we got to be associated with. Like, I consider you, Eric, to be a part of LawTube, even though you're not a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like we're all a group of people who just hang out together.
I disagree. This guy here, he's not a member of LawTube. He's the creator of LawTube.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No, that's what I said. I'm telling you right now. He's the first person who started bringing attorneys together for conversation
on streams. That's true.
Yeah.
On streams.
Oh, wow.
That's true.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, he's the creator.
Started the concept.
These panels, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
You're sitting on. Scott Cardinal, happy Friday. Scott Cardinal does some amazing stuff, by the way. He does work with Law and Lumber, neat historical things. Right. I've got to try to catch up. I know he did some stuff on Lizzie Borden, and there's I've hammered him and said you have to read John Douglas's bit on Lizzie Borden. It's very interesting. John Douglas is the FBI agent profiler who was behind, there was a series on HBO. I always forget the name, by David Fincher. Mindhunter. It's Mindhunter.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's based on John Douglas.
I cannot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I cannot say enough great things about Scott Cardinal. So this guy I've known him for at least a year or so. He was one of the first people to follow my show. Certainly one of the first 100 to follow my show. And I know I've spoken to him on the phone for over a year. And he happens to be a really smart guy, a very interesting guy, a really good person. And he was invaluable during the Johnny Depp trial. And I urge you guys to check out his work. He happens to be a really interesting listen as well. So yeah, amazing person, Scott Cardinal. Love you, brother. And you guys should check out his channel. He does completely different type of work than most people that you meet. He covers some fascinating things about architecture. And I just think that you guys, and he's a really interesting listen. So I can't praise Scott Cardinal enough.
All right. And then Georgina, sweetheart. Georgina is one of my most loyal viewers, followers, always so generous, so kind. Thank you so much, as always. Truly enjoy listening to all of us and getting to know each of us separately. And I love hanging out with everybody. The one thing I love about this show is I used to say, let me get some subjects. I don't even prep. I do nothing because it's like I'm going to have great friends on and it's just going to go crazy and it'll be fun. It doesn't matter. All I have to do is put the people together and everybody's just awesome.
And the magic happens.
Yep. Murph's Kicks on IG. Nate. He's got some kicks for you, like Viva's.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Boom shakalaka.
So I don't know. Contact
Twitter or email me. Yeah, I'm good. Twitter or email me.
What are kicks?
And
what does that mean in this context?
Sneakers.
Oh,
sneakers.
Okay.
They're like customized.
That's a cool moment for you.
Customized like Nike shoes with emblems and other things on them too.
And you're from New York. That's what all the kids here call them, kicks.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the song? The song where it's all the little kids with the pumped up kicks are gonna run, better run. You ever hear that song?
I think I have, but I never would have realized that that's what kicks meant in that context.
Do you call them tennis shoes? You don't call them tennis shoes because you're from New York. You call them sneakers.
Sneakers, yeah.
Yeah. If you're from the South, you call them tennis shoes. Gym shoes.
We call them gym shoes.
I don't even remember what they're called anymore because I've moved around. I think sneakers probably, or
In the South, they call them tennis shoes. In the North, they call them sneakers. In the Midwest, gym shoes. So it all depends on where you're at.
Yeah. Well, it's grocery carts are fun ones too. Because it's like My wife called it a basket yesterday. I was, oh shit, look at that. It's you cute. And then I know my old boss called them carriages. Like,
Yeah,
what, you gonna
yeah.
put a baby in there? What? I mean, it's for groceries, not anyway, I don't know. Okay, we're talking about the trans stuff. They're trying to normalize it so people don't question it, and the frog in the boiling water analogy. Yeah, there is some of that, and that's why I kind of say training, which is annoying. They killed He-Man to make the lead female. Yeah, I think Nate did a video on that he's not a fan.
Yeah, I did it. I lost the transgendered friend for that too. Oh, you're being. I'm like, I want the damn thing is called He-Man. It's not called She-Woman. It's called He-Man. Honestly, I watched it for He-Man. But
thanks for the super sticker. I like how you guys are cracking me up. Awesome, thank you.
TF Tennessee, love T.
She's awesome.
T is amazing.
But did he repeat the line? Yes, Joe did repeat the line when we played it the second time. He said repeat the line. Then he repeated the line. Wow.
By the way, I think Farah is probably correct that they give instructions in a different color or something, or a different paragraph.
They're italicized.
What likely happened in that scenario is that time whoever fed him the line probably didn't put it another color, and that's why he ended up making the mistake.
Very true.
That's what I'm saying is what happened there.
Look at that. Okay, folks, see, Joe is such a generous, awesome person. He just defended somebody he is not a fan of at all. So I hope everybody did a nice audio or video pull on that, because I know that Joe Biden will be happy to have his namesake, Joe Neerman, supporting him.
I'm not supporting. I'm saying that's probably what happened. It's just a matter. I'm looking at it realistically.
Oh, let me instigate, okay? I'm trying to cause conflict and trouble. So let me work on that.
He needs those clicks. He needs the views.
Exactly. See, because
I think I gave enough clicks 10 minutes ago. So
this is an amazing channel. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Britt. So please subscribe. And by the way, if you do like this and you like these kind of panels, I'm serious, please subscribe. They happen generally every other week on Fridays at noon, and other stuff too. Nate, you're identifying as a mama bear. I pulled that one up earlier. That was fun. Nate is right. It comes down to someone is lying about gender to get to the truth. That's a policy problem. Yeah, I mean, and on that whole bathroom thing, I hate to say it, Nate. If the person going in, dare I say, would pass, you probably wouldn't even question it.
Oh yeah. No. This person looked more butch than I did, but but it was just like. Even it was to the point where my smallest one was like suspect. We're going to the bathroom. I was like, no, we're going to the right locker room. Don't worry, I'll go in there with you. And I didn't want to take him to the men's locker room because it was just So I was like, we'll go inside here together. And that's when the whole issue came. And it was funny because security's worried about me, and I'm like, you got this guy's like 6'5". You're not worried about but this day or 6'5". I'm like, you're not worried about me, but it's It is.
I will.
Even for your daughter to make a face like, "Dad, I don't feel comfortable." That's enough. That's enough. You don't even have to ask if it was if you made the right decision.
Oh no, I was going.
That is enough.
We were all going inside there. But I still feel bad because of the reaction. I think it was just the whole security reaction and all that stuff that made it a little. You know what I mean?
There's only one tiny silver lining to any of this. And that is whenever anyone calls for my wife and they're like, "Hi, can I talk to Shauna and Aaron?" And I'll be like, "Speaking." And then they always go, "No, I said, oh, yeah, hello." And then they don't even know, should I say miss? Should I say mister? What should I say? I don't even know. And then they just start going on into their pitch or whatever it is that they're talking about. So that's the only, I don't even bother masking my voice. I'll usually even deepen my voice a little bit. My voice is fairly deep as it is, but I'm like speaking just to make sure that they know I'm not faking anything.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Debbie, I was saying you do not know that person. Probably everything would have been fine, but you do not know that. My father would have done the same thing if he let us stay at all. Agreed. And by the way, Nate, if it was someone who appeared to be feminine, but they looked like Eileen Wuornos, you might have had hesitation having your kids go in there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, in fairness, it's like if it's somebody who just looks like they could be a threat, regardless of race, size, whatever, there's instincts. And sorry, if it comes to protecting the kids versus insulting somebody, kind of have to protect the kids. Tracy Fagan, thank you very much. My kid, my rules. I don't want my 9-year-old to see your private parts. It's my job to teach him about. Yep.
Yeah.
Joe, get angry. Get those lemons. Kind of why movies are rated according to maturity level. Okay.
Yeah. No, the point being, we've had this MPAA system for a long time where nudity earned you an R rating because we say keep sexuality away from kids. It's a good point. It was always understood, but that's just been ripped apart.
Yep. Joe, the protector of all Viva can't say my name, huh? And then
oh no, I love his name. Pope Rackus touched me. That makes me always kill me. So
Eric, I missed the whole joke in that. Probably, but now it's one of those the joke has gone by so long ago. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah. What was the joke?
I definitely probably did though. Milo's I'm middle left and I disagree with things I hear here, but I like listening to you and all your personalities. I can hear other perspectives. Thank you. Well, thank you, Milo's mom.
Thank you.
I don't expect for people to agree with me, with anybody here on the panel. Hell, Nate and I do a show together called Nate and Eric, and we do a show on locals, no holds barred. And the whole premise is Nate and I argue all the time, but we love hanging out and talking to each other, and we both learn. You know,
which is what they don't want you to do at all. They don't even want you to talk to the other side anymore. It's just other side bad. Do not engage. You know.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, we all know that Nate's wrong, but you know, it's fun to talk to.
Well, duh.
Scott Cardinal has an amazing voice. It's so smooth, soothing. Follow his stuff. He does. He's a voiceover guy.
Is he?
Yeah. Where has this been all your life? It has been here. It's here every other Friday. Laid Back News. Thank you very much. Please consider subscribing. This channel is relatively new. It actually came out of another channel being nuked due to a copyright issue.
Uh-oh.
And
yeah, remember the magic words.
Yeah, we're not going to go deep into that, but America's Untold Stories got taken out by a copyright troll, and rather than waiting, it took a month, to overcome all the claims with counterclaims. We created another America's Untold Stories channel, and so this is actually the original America's Untold Stories channel that brought back after defeating the copyright trolls. I'm not a fan of those. And Pope Ragus, read your first chat. I would have to find your first chat, dude. I'm probably not. I'm probably going to miss that. So, folks, that's it on the super chat. Everybody, please follow everybody here. I'm sure that you do because I'm the smallest channel out of this group. But please like and subscribe here. Fair and Balanced, your channel, same name. Remember, Faran. And new channel for you. Just subscribe. Thank you. And by the way, folks, seriously look and see if you are subscribed. I confess that I have 4 channels, and it might be confusing a little bit, but see if you're subscribed to this because I do advertise this like on my Eric Hunley channel, and you might think you're already subscribed, and you look down, you're like, I'm not. That's because this is Layback News. I do this separately, specifically for the purpose of having like these legal panels, and everything on Layback News is revolves around current events. So while Eric Hunley has, body language, things like that, it's much more evergreen. Layback News is current news, things that are happening, hot takes, fun stuff, legal panels. That's why it's separated and something different. Nate the Lawyer. Everybody check out Nate the Lawyer. And also, if you enjoy Nate and my interactions, we have a channel called Nate and Eric. We will be getting content out there very soon. Nate's been traveling, so we're running a little behind. We got a couple of videos. And then, of course, last of all, we have Joe of Good Logic. He's also Good Logic at locals.com. By the way, and Nate the Lawyer at locals.com. Farran, are you on Locals?
No, I'm not, but I'm about to get started after this. Because I hear everybody is.
Let me get in touch with me. I'll put you with somebody there, okay?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That definitely helps. And then Joe, Good Logic at locals.com. Joe is Good Logic on YouTube. Joe always has some wisdom that he likes to share at the end of the show. And I admire Joe. Joe goes way back. He's been doing this show for a couple years, so I always want to give Joe the floor at the end of the show to partake or share wisdom with us. So, Joe, please.
Well, I'm glad you did today, because this is probably the most important thing that I ever